I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. No, I'm mad. Hey, hi, hello. If you don't already know about the allegations against Melanie Martinez, I am not a journalist, nor am I a drama channel, but I will briefly recap the allegations. If you're looking for a I hate Melanie or I hate Timothy type video, this ain't it. I more so want to talk about the dangers that come with stan communities, especially when allegations are involved. I'm also gonna censor myself because I don't want YouTube to get mad at me, but just know that I'm not trying to downplay any of the topics I'm gonna be talking about. Speaking of which, this video is going to briefly cover topics involving SA, R-word, harassment, and parasocial relationships in general. Also, if you like the art in the background of this video, stick around because that's what this channel is really about. Before I begin, I'd like to clarify that these are allegations and there really is no hard evidence to prove anything. So, very quick recap. Melanie Martinez and Timothy Heller used to be friends until Timothy made accusations that Melanie R-worded her 2 years prior. She claims that she said no several times, and after the two of them got high, Melanie made her move. Timothy claims that Melanie performed oral and used a toy on her. If you want a more in-depth explanation of the whole situation, I would suggest watching this because it goes into much better detail. But that's not really what this video is about. So before I get into what I really want to talk about, the first thing I want to clear up is the nature of these allegations. I've seen some people try to downplay this by saying it's just assault, not R-word, which legally there's a difference, but why would you argue something like that? Is that supposed to make Melanie look better? Make the allegations look less serious? You'd be better off denying the allegations entirely. I think the reason someone might think this way is because neither of them are male, therefore there was no penetration with a male organ. However, unconsensual oral and penetration of any kind, no matter how slight and no matter what is used, still classifies as R-word. This could possibly differ depending on the state, but it seems like generally what Timothy described would be classified as R-word. It's just assault is a very nothing statement anyways because it really does nothing to further the conversation or disprove anything, but I just wanted to make that clear since some people do seem to want to argue about that. So if I'm not making a video to trash on either of the people involved in this, then what the heck am I here to talk about? Actually, I'm calling out you, and me, and all of us, because I'd be lying if I said I always believed Timothy. And to be clear, I'm not telling you to believe her. In reality, there's no hard evidence to prove anyone's side of the story. I talked about this before in a different video, but people are so quick to jump to conclusions when allegations are made. Now, the other video I'm referencing is about the Quite allegations, which made me feel really bad for Quite because, as far as I can tell now, the allegations against him were false and he was publicly humiliated and his face was revealed to everyone, which is like a faceless YouTuber's worst nightmare. When the allegations were first made against Melanie, I assumed they were false, just like with Quite. But in hindsight, I was making the same mistake that I criticized others for making during the Quite allegations. When allegations are made and no evidence is given, the best stance to take is the neutral one. We don't like to doubt victims, but blindly believing all allegations can lead to innocent people having their lives ruined. The other extreme is always assuming an accusation is a lie, leading to potentially depraved individuals to keep their stardom while victims are shamed for coming forward. Both of these outcomes are bad. We all need to think critically and realize that sometimes we just don't know. Is Timothy telling the truth? We don't know. We can listen to her story and come to a conclusion, decide who we believe more, figure out whether or not we want to continue supporting Melanie, but at the end of the day, we just don't know. Believing Timothy does not give us an excuse to harass Melanie, and much less her fans. Most of her fans are pretty young and likely don't even know about the allegations. Is Melanie innocent? We don't know. We can listen to her responses, decide whether we think her claims are contradictory or not, decide whether we want to keep supporting her, but at the end of the day, we just don't know. Believing Melanie does not give us an excuse to harass Timothy for supposedly lying, and much less her supporters. And why is this? Because we just don't know. There's no evidence. No one aside from Timothy and Melanie know what really happened between them. We don't know these people. There's no way for us to prove or disprove anything. Now, I will say, I think Melanie's responses are kind of suspicious and don't paint her in a good light. And if I had to pick a side, I think I'm leaning more towards Timothy, despite being a fan of Melanie's music. You know, I find it so disheartening to see the kind of awful things Timothy has been subjected to, the kind of community that Melanie's fostered. I fell in love with her music because I felt like there was finally some freak I could relate to. I love the sound of her music and the messages she shares with them. You'd think a community built on this message of trauma and healing and growth would be a little more sensible in the light of such heavy accusations, but that's the problem with stan culture. It's like all morals are thrown out the window. This is the same community that's generally all about acceptance and positivity and support. A bunch of people who've probably been through a lot of trauma. People who've dealt with body issues and violence and SA. And yet, when their idol gets called out, that's all out the window. Suddenly, SA doesn't matter anymore. What matters is protecting your idol. I feel like maybe it just seemed so impossible. How could she? It's Melanie. My comfort artist. Look at the music she makes. Her messages. Why would she ever do something like that? She couldn't. Timothy must be a liar, and she wants to take away this person who puts all of our trauma into words, who's helped so many people through dark times. I can definitely see how people might become defensive. I was too. I didn't believe it for a second. Granted, I was like 15 or 16 when the allegations were first made, but I remember watching multiple videos trashing on Timothy just to reassure myself that Melanie was definitely innocent. But 6, 7 something years later, I don't know, man. Well, with that, I think I just realized what my real message is. Aside from just staying neutral and avoiding harassing people because you think you're right, don't just believe what you want to. Don't intentionally search for content that's going to reaffirm what you want the truth to be. This goes for all things. Come to your own conclusions and look at all sides of the story. Never take someone's word for literally anything. Don't believe someone just because you want them to be right, and don't believe someone just because their opinion was the first that you heard. I mean, this goes for stuff like these allegations, politics, general, moral issues. These are things that you should do some critical thinking on. Anyone who expects you to blindly believe them should not be trusted. And remember that you don't know these people. Celebrities, influencers, whatever, you don't know them and you shouldn't trust them. That goes for me as well. Don't trust me. You don't know me. I could be crazy. I'm not crazy, but I could be. You don't know me. You know, I could go on about this for ages, but nothing ever seems to change. I can barely even take my own advice, but just try to be as responsible and reasonable as possible, and avoid negativity. I know that's kind of hard now. I mean, it's like allegations are being made every time you turn around, and there's always an argument over literally nothing under every video ever. But I genuinely think that the more you avoid it, the better off you'll be. Turn off your notifications, man. At least for YouTube, and probably also Twitter, or X, or whatever. I've cut down on screen time by a lot doing that. Even if that means I'm late to responding to comments a lot of the time. It's okay. Just turn it off. Touch grass. Drink some water. Bye.